delighted to be here. At my age, I'm delighted to be anywhere, actually. And probably the very first thing you're asking is why and how and can this old person give us any help at all to start up our businesses? Is he going to be relevant? Well, I can give you three reasons why I am. Firstly, in the last 30 years and day to day today, we do more of the research on what it takes for startups to succeed in their own business than probably anybody else in the world. I founded a number of organizations, national organizations, to do that research, and I've also got lots of partners that do all the best research in the UK every year. So we are up to date with what's going on in research terms as to what's important for a startup. The second thing that will make you realize, I hope, that it's worth listening to me for the next 40 minutes, which is a long time, isn't it? My goodness. But it is worth listening to me for the next 40 minutes because I'm going to actually include what I do on the day to day as well with my famous friends. Many of them are very famous entrepreneurs, and they're people that you can watch on YouTube and listen and learn from. And so there are some really good people that I'm with day to day. And I'm also patron of things like John Cracknell Youth Enterprise Bank in Hull. And so I deal with young entrepreneurs as well. Day to day, I'm with enterprising people all the time, particularly startups, in thinking about starting up, pre-start, um, in the first 3 years of starting up. And that's what my passion is, to see what we can do to make sure that they all, control their own destiny and have a good life ahead. The other thing, third thing I think that's important um, is just the fact that I'm in the third year, and we're finishing off this summer of something called the Be More Happypreneur Show. And I'm not promoting it to you. I'm not selling you anything today. But I have found this Be More Happypreneur Show that we've been on tour with for the last 3 years very stimulating. It's based on a book called The Happypreneur that I wrote with Taryn Lee Johnson. And it's about how many of the entrepreneurs I've met over the last 30 years, including, a lot of people that have made huge amounts of money. I mean, millions I'm talking about, are not actually very happy entrepreneurs. And so what we actually put together was a book using hundreds of contributions from lots of people that are running businesses to decide on what the values are, what the influences are, and that's in terms of like who you influence or how you influence other people, and who influences you. And the third thing is about these enterprise tips that I'm going to give you, because put those three things together, the values, the influencing, and the enterprise, and you end up being happy in starting and running your own business 80% of the time. So that's well worth it. And some of my famous friends include my inspiration, which is somebody called Kanye King, CBE, who you can see on the on television, on YouTube, and everywhere. And she's my inspiration. She founded the Mobo Awards, which has created total culture change for music of black origin, completely changed the music industry. Nobody backed her when she started up. She started up her business and founded that national organization the same year I founded, with my business partner, our first national organization to support businesses and startups and various things. And she's my day-to-day inspiration for everything I do. So you can watch her. The introduction to the book, The Happypreneur, was written by somebody called Tim Campbell, whose values are tremendously important to me. And Tim Campbell, you can see, well, every year, certainly, on The Apprentice, because he co-presents that. He was the first winner of the Apprentice altogether, but he's a fantastic guy. But it's his values. When we first met about 10, 12, 15 years ago, we agreed that the important thing was about controlling your own destiny and making ends meet. It wasn't. It wasn't about making millions and being a super guru and presenter. So basically, yeah, or super influencer as it is today. So basically, Tim Campbell's very important. And then I'm chair of an organization called Yorkshire in Business, and you're not able to see this particular woman who's just over 40 now, who I co-present with Ian Farrow, the Be More Happy Preneur, because she doesn't like appearing in public, really. It took a lot to get her to be on our Be More Happy Preneur show. But day to day, and this is the joy for me, I'm chair of an organization called Yorkshire in Business, which she is the chief executive for. And each year she helps thousands of people to start up with her fantastic team. And even in things like we've got our own cafe, if you like, and she helps. And it's got pop-up shops in it so that people can actually sell from our cafe and things. So those are three thing people to start off with that can I think tell you that I am fairly up to date with what's going on and what's important to you in starting up a business. But what I don't do is ever tell somebody what they should be doing because we use all of this research, all of this information to actually ask questions and find out where they are. And then we believe that the know who is more important than anything else. And we connect them, as you can do in the NNBN network and today on this startup day, we connect them with the people that can help them rather than telling them what to do. So my startup tips today are generic. These are things that we've found will work for nearly everybody. But you also need specific advice from business owners that are going to be in a similar or understand your type of business as well. So just bear that in mind. Everything I'm going to talk about today is generic. These are the things that will ensure that you have an 8 out of 10 chance of surviving and thriving in your own business. And I hope you'll be happy in controlling your own destiny in your own business as well. And that's pretty good because if you were in Silicon Valley, you've only got a 1 in 10 chance of surviving and thriving, despite all the billions pumped into Silicon Valley. So those are kind of some of the important things. And it's also important to recognize that people today are always in what is the environment that is absolutely right for today. So what worked for me, we've been running our businesses, starting up and running businesses for since 1986, and we're very proud of that. But we know that what worked 10 years ago wouldn't necessarily work today. But the generic things are always there. They've been there for centuries, and those are the things I'm going to give you that are important. And I'm always being surprised by how easy some people feel to start up a business. I was talking to 12-year-old Sydney. Obviously, she's at school, and she started a business which is very successful on Etsy primarily, called Hats for Cats. And she came up with the idea of crocheting these hats and putting them on her cats. And one of the cats made a tremendous model. And I said, well, how do you market hats for cats? I realize you've got to get them to Etsy to actually buy them. But, how do you do it? And she said, well, I'm only 12, which means I'm pretty good at things like social media and TikTok and various things. All I've got to do is take pictures of my cat in the hats. And she's incredibly successful. In fact, during COVID, she was making more money than most of my friends and colleagues. So, absolutely fantastic. So, here we are. So, we're going into Um, I'll try and get as many in as I can, but I certainly want to get six terrific startup tips that will make the difference between 1 out of 10 of you surviving in 3 years and thriving and going on. We don't retire as once we've started a business, we've become unemployable anyway. And we do are very proud of running our businesses and we love it. So, it's not just about over 3 years, it's about uh, forever. Now, you can sell up a business, but I'm actually talking about people that want to be like me and Tim Campbell and Kanye King and Jen Crowther, who I mentioned from Yorkshire in Business, um, and Simon Cox as well. He'll go on running his own businesses with Marie for forever and a day. It's what we do. So, um, two other things I think are that you'll find these six tips a little bit controversial. The reason you'll find them a little bit controversial is because, well, it blows away a number of the myths of entrepreneurship. Let me give you just a couple of the ones that it blows away. Um, you need a pitch deck. You need a plan. You need a lot of investment. You need you need to dream big. You need to set big, hairy goals. You need to jump off the cliff. Those are the kind of things that may work for your mindset, but mindset isn't everything, even though everybody says it is. In actual fact, the majority of us starters up, we are positive people anyway. We are taking a risk in the first place, and we do believe that we're going to succeed, otherwise, we wouldn't do it. So, most of us have a pretty positive mindset in the first place, but we know we've got to learn how to do certain things first. So, let's start with the first controversial one, which a lot of people really don't like, which is bootstrap, don't borrow. So when you're starting up, you really should not take any money from the banks, the business bank, the government's run bank, or anybody, or any investment um, until you've got customers, because until you've got customers, you can't really do a cash flow to know what you could repay or how you could repay it or whether you've got enough customers to actually survive, and then including that survival income, new clothes for the kids and all the other things that are going on. In other words, it's customers that give you money. I know this is obvious, but unless you've got customers that give you money, well, you can't do a cash flow. And a cash flow of what's coming in to your bank account and what's going out from your bank account is like the most important thing. That is your plan. And so the reason you've got to test trade first is because you've got to be able to understand about your customers and you've got to understand about how many customers you can get paying how much money. And you don't know any of that until you've done test trading. So, one of the reasons that bootstrap don't borrow and test trading go together is the fact that it's only when you've been doing some test trading that you'll know your cash flow and your customers coming in. And so you bootstrap, don't borrow. So you buy second hand. You do things that, the first thing that my business partner said to me is, you can't have a nice company car. We can't afford one. We get a cheap contract hire car that we pay monthly for, and you'll have to go around in that. I'll have to drive you to any important meetings. It's very obvious and simple, but some people would have put down, we need 6,000 for a car or whatever. So you've got to, use second hand, use whatever resources your family give you. Certainly start from home. As I said, like the sellers in our cafe, then they're test trading in our cafe, if you like. They're bootstrapping as well at the same time. They're using the money that they're making while they've also got a job, yeah, to actually uh, build for the future. Eventually, and this is the fantastic thing, some of those sellers in our cafe actually end up having their own shop. But by that time, they've got lots of loyal customers that want to keep coming into the shop regularly, keep buying their products, and they've got lots of products going up. So the first thing is bootstrap, don't borrow. Do everything you can not to get into debt right from day one. Um, and of, I mean, one of the things in the research that I don't want to scare you, but let's look at reality. The reason that there is so much depression amongst independent business owners is the debt that they can get into, and that's why I've campaigned for 5 years for 3.8 million excluded UK from income support that had, and many of them had to take on bounce back loans. Debt unfortunately causes depression. So at the beginning, bootstrap, don't borrow. And the second tip, I've started it off, I've given you, is test trade first. Do everything you can to ensure that you've actually got your business model in place before you actually full-time start up the business. In fact, you may never start up the business. I took on lecturing jobs and all sorts of other jobs, and people tell us, people will do anything to keep their own business going and have part-time jobs as well through that early 18 months, if you like, because really the first 18 months is about test trading as well. So you're trying to avoid debt for as long as you possibly can. When it's safe to get a loan, then get one. Of course, get a loan when you know what money is coming in, what money you can afford, and what's going out. But also remember, it's a game of snakes and ladders. Every time you think you're going up, there'll be a snake that hits you. It could be a natural disaster, even. It could be a virus. It could be all sorts of things that could actually happen to you that will actually take you down again. So when you're planning that cash flow, when you're learning about everything through your test trading phase, remember it's a roller coaster, really. It's ups and downs. It's great fun, but it's ups and downs. I wouldn't have it anyway. So test trade first, do everything you can, and there's no problem in having a job while you're test trading. Then when you've got a business model, then when you've got real customers paying real money, you can actually go on to maybe take a loan or move into premises at a later date or whatever it happens to be. So bootstrap, don't borrow, test trade first. The third one you're doing today. And this is ask for help from business owners. There is no better advice from people that are not selling you anything. They're the snakes. The people selling you, and you're very vulnerable as well to these snakes. A lot of people that are these fantastic influencers and speakers and seminar hosts and all these things, they're usually selling you stuff. And you've got to be very careful of that. Whereas business owners are actually fairly proud of what they do in business, and they've learned quite a lot in their time that is useful to you. And that's why you're here today, because you're learning from other business owners, and that's absolutely fantastic. And the other thing about asking for help from business owner, ask for help for business owners, the third tip is to make absolutely certain that you ask for help from some business owners that understand your customers. The most important thing in our businesses is keeping and winning customers. And if you can get help, so let's say, for example, I know people that have test traded things with an ice cream trolley at weddings and various things like that, see if their ice cream's sold and whether people like it, various things. And people with pop-up coffee shops and things like that, if you like. And before they go into an ice cream shop or invest all that kind of money, get a loan if you like. They've built up a big clientele in the area that loves their ice cream or loves their coffee or cakes or various things. And before they set up a shop, they often go to talk to business owners in other towns. You can talk to people in your own town. You'd be amazed how helpful people that you think you might be competing against are, like hairdressers renting out a chair, and then that hairdresser actually becomes, another shop down the street. So, ask for help from business owners that actually understand your type of business. And that's your type of business and who your customers are, because that'll help you with pricing and all the rest of the things that you actually need to know. So that's the specific advice I can't give you because I don't know what your kind of business is, but I have given you three rocking good tips. One, bootstrap, don't borrow. Two, test trade first. Three, ask for help from a business owner, particularly one that uh, understands your customers and can help you with that. The fourth one is build multiple income streams. Now, this may seem obvious, but I'm paranoid about it. Um, I never have all eggs in one basket. I've started a number of businesses. In fact, I always think I'm just about to start another business because I actually like having more than one business as well as, more than one product. And, I never have all eggs in one basket. So, you know, you're always searching for things, so you've got some offline selling, you've got some online selling, you've got some products of this type, you've got some services of this type. Everybody tells you to focus. Well, that's really important because you've actually got to get really good at what you do. I mean, there's absolutely no way that you can not focus on doing what you're really good at, because at the end of the day, you can't afford to be cheap, but you also can't afford not to give great quality, because that's the way that we actually survive as independent businesses. That's how we beat the big corporates. It's our service, it's our customer service. It's the customers love dealing with a real person, us, and so it's really, really important that you're continually developing new services and new products that will keep your customers in, keep them buying. And the goal does is you've got different multiple income streams. So if one goes down, you've still got income coming in from other people, and you're getting referrals in all of those income streams. So build multiple income streams as well. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And that's what most people do. And of course, that's what is the downfall if you've got an investor, because an investor who doesn't really care about your welfare, as Deborah Meaden says, you're not looking for an investor as a friend. They're playing a portfolio out. So they're, out of 10 businesses, one of them that they're investing in may succeed. Out of 100 businesses, even one of them might succeed. They're not worried. And so they'll tell that person to, work all the hours that God sends and to focus, 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 because they've actually bought a single income stream. But if you're looking to survive and thrive for the rest of your life into your 70s, like I am, then build multiple income streams. And the fifth one is back to this concept of the happypreneur philosophy in our Be More Happypreneur and the Happypreneur book. It's number one on the values. It's do what you love and are good at. Because the only way you'll keep going up the ladder, despite all of the snakes trying to take you down the ladder, is if you're doing something you love and are good at. Because if you're doing something you don't love, it's just another job. And starting and running our own businesses can't be just another job. And if we're not good at it, then we're not going to provide the quality, the special fizz that the customer needs from what we do. And so there's one other little tip that I can give you regarding that. Do what you love and do what you're good at is to actually find out what you're good at in the business and actually to find other people to help you in the areas that you're not good at so that you're doing things you're good at and that the customers will love about you and will give you money for. So basically, a friend of mine called Dr. Ernesto Ciroli, you can see him on YouTube with a video that's been seen by millions called Shut Up and Listen. And basically, he proved that there isn't a successful entrepreneur in the world that has done it alone. Although they may take all the credit for it, although they may actually be, seen as the maverick disruptor, the actual fact is that nobody actually succeeds alone. So he has a very simple way of looking at it in terms of your product or service. Firstly, can you make the product or service absolutely beautifully, wonderfully? On a scale of 8 to 10, are you in the 0 to 10? Are you in the sevens, the eights, the nines, even 10? So can you make it? Can you produce it? Can you bring it to the customer? The second one is, can you market and sell it? Can you market and sell it absolutely beautifully? Can you market and sell it enough monies that you can survive and thrive? And thirdly, can you manage the money? Can you manage the day-to-day money so that you don't have cash flow problems, that you do get paid very, very quickly, that you don't sign up to a 45 to 120 day payment terms, damn them. I do campaign against four paying 30 days or less. Yeah. Who have you got managing the money? Is it you? Is it a spouse? Is it a friend? Is it a partner? Is it a bookkeeper? I always think bookkeepers are actually the best friends. Um, or it might just be a little bit of software that will actually do it for you, and it's just like so easy for you. It doesn't take up much time. But basically, out of those three things, the making, the marketing, and the selling, which is always just about a conversation with more and more and more and more customers, even if it's through LinkedIn, which is where I get a lot of my work through. Um, you and the third one is managing the money. If you're not 7 out of 10 and higher on each of those, see if you can find somebody to help you with the ones that you're below that on. Yeah. And that'll allow you to concentrate on the things that you're good at and you love doing. And that'll make all the difference to the success of your business. So I've given you 5 top startup tips. Implicit in all of this is that the important thing in a business is actually not about mindset, although a positive mindset is absolutely essential. It's actually about winning and keeping customers. Many of the entrepreneurs that you read about, that you see about, are not interested in winning and keeping customers. They've made some money and now they invest it in stocks and shares, in buying up other people's businesses, in all sorts of other things that they make money for. But you, as a startup in the next 3 years, I would say 90% of you, more than that, are going to have to concentrate on winning, keeping customers, that cash flow coming in, and your survival income being met, and you doing something that you love and are good at. So, good luck with it. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope those 5 startup tips will help you have a wonderful future. Thank you. Bye.